Welcome in, everyone. Thank you very much for coming on to today's show. I got a very fun guest I'm having with me today. We're going back to my audio engineering days back at Crash. And without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself? What should we call you? What's your title? What career are you looking for? Anything like that.
No title. You can just call me Kaury. It may be spelled weird. I don't know if you can see my name right there, but I tell people Maury with a K when they're confused, and that seems to help them figure it out. I am an audio engineer, recording engineer. I kind of wear a lot of hats at the moment in the studio that I'm in. I do a lot of video work, lighting design, technical direction, whatever needs to be done. A lot of administrative work. It's been a doozy. But yeah, by trade, I'm an audio engineer. That's how I know Mr. Bryce here. And yeah, we're gonna, I think, recant on some of those early memories when we were both trying to figure out what the hell we wanted to do with our life.
What kind of sound stuff could me no know it though?
I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm surprised, I feel like when you were there, you could kind of tell or assume who was going to be able to make it happen or who would want to make it happen. And I always thought that you would be along my side here in LA.
It was one of those things that I just couldn't find the right, discipline that I could be okay with. I went to Crass originally for music, and I just couldn't get on board with the whole totem pole situation of the unpaid intern for 2 years and grueling it and doing the whole thing. And this would have been 5 years of college later. I'm like, I've been doing the grueling part already. I'm done with that, and didn't get too excited about movies. I liked them, but not enough to work on it. I really wanted to do theater, but the professors at the time didn't really push that enough for me. I didn't really learn enough to feel comfortable going into that realm. And then it came down to broadcasting, and I really liked the idea for that, but then I didn't want to be traveling all the time, so I was just like, ugh. So I just kind of threw it all away mentally. I'm like, I always enjoyed the in-person, the tracking part, interacting with people and doing that whole thing. I just couldn't get over what seemed like the work-life balance and such at the time.
I do not blame you, man. I can't sit here and tell you. I definitely feel like I'm doing what I love, but at times the question I'm typically asking, is this worth it? Or are there better options? It's just crazy for you to be able to love what you do so much, but still be like, man, it's really intense and it's really difficult. And you have to love it to be able to persevere, in my opinion.
I think a lot of times, I'm the same way, but you kind of get to a point a lot of times in our lives when we feel like, if I love it, I'm never going to feel taxed by it. And that's unfortunately not how it's going to be, for better or worse. There might be some cases where if you like something that's a relatively easy thing, maybe I just like to be outside, and then you get to be like a national park ranger, rest in peace right now, not talking about that, but things like that. But if you want to have a hard working career, you want to do all this grind and stuff, some days you're going to have that grind and just be like, I've it's just beat me up a bit, and it's not a bad thing that you're thinking about it. It's good that you sit there and take the moment to contemplate it. That way it's not 20 years of being in it and you go, well, shit, I just woke up now. I wish I did something else. I should have thought about it.
I do hope, I do think because you were right when you talked about the whole totem pole bullshit that you have to go through in this industry, man. I've been I still feel like I'm paying my dues, and I do think I'm at a point right now where I'm kind of sick of paying my dues, and I want to level up to something that I do think there are times, and I hope that it does get less stressful in the future and things can be more streamlined and whatnot. I don't know how that's going to happen and when that comes, but I don't think it's going to be like this always. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like this always, and I'm really grateful for the challenge, and I've grown so much, so I do think it'll all be worth it. It's just still trying to make it make sense.
For anyone listening, how long have you been trying to make it make sense? How long have you been in audio?
Well, I'd say, how long ago were we at Crest? That had to been 5 years ago now?
Yeah, I've started 19, 20 area. 2019,
so
2020 area.
if that counts as a start, I've been at it for 5 years.
Okay.
I think, both graduated right into COVID, so or somewhere around that time, and
Yeah, it was
so
like
I think we
December of
both
21.
we both had pretty lofty visions of what was going to happen over the next few months that just never ended up happening. So instead of like immediately moving out to LA like I anticipated to start my audio career, I had moved back to Cleveland, and I was working with a composer there, and his name is Joel Grant. He's the man. If you need music for literally anything, he is like one of the most versatile composers, and I owe so much to him. He taught me how to mix, taught me how to write music, cared about me when I sort of thought all of this was for nothing. Like he's a great guy.
Good deal.
He kept me like kind of engaged with audio engineering and inspired, and so it was like 2 years that I thought I'd be in LA that I was in Cleveland doing just like trying to have fun with and make sense of like the time and the period and basically just like waiting out COVID to figure out when I could move to LA. And when that moment happened, I did, and it felt like I was starting the totem pole again. I was a runner at a studio, a really, really crazy studio, a lot of hip hop in Hollywood. And very long story short, things ended there. I kind of moped around for like 2 weeks and then found like an internship opportunity and worked from intern of that studio to now the head engineer. And we've rebranded, and it's a whole new project that I've had so much fun building, and now I'm overwhelmed by.
Got into it, and let me have a little. Let me put my head above the water. That'd be nice.
Yep, definitely just trying to keep my head above the water. But yeah, it's been cool. It's been an interesting journey. I don't really know how comparable it's been to other people in my field, and I don't really know like how the randomness that I've experienced will take me to where it'll take me in the future. But I'm pretty confident that things are going to work out, and it does feel like things are working out, at least relative to how they were in the past. So I'm appreciative of that, just trying to make it perfect if I can.
if there's such a
Right.
thing, hopefully you find it. So you mentioned you were working with a composer. Is music the like original inspiration on why you got into audio engineering, why you went to Crass and such?
That is a great question. Yes, I think my whole life I always wanted to, but assumed that I couldn't make a career out of music. I've always like played instruments and written music. I just always thought it was a for fun thing. I graduated college and I was like, damn, I don't know what the hell I want to do. And nothing that I changed majors every year in college. Like I just could not find what I wanted. It really bummed me out. And then I eventually like decided that there's no way I could do anything but work in music, which is interesting because when I went to Crass, like I was like, okay, obviously I'm going to do music. That's the whole point of this. And then you learn so much about different stuff at Crass that I think every single time I like switched focuses, like post-production, theater, what else was there? All of it. It all
Live
seems
sound,
exactly.
broadcast.
I was like, this all seems really interesting to me, and I want to do all of it. And then I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. And when I first moved to LA, I think I interviewed with like 2 post-production companies and then a couple studios, and ultimately decided to go the music route for whatever reason. And I think it's really gratifying working on other people's music, but as I'm probably going to continue to mention, there's a lot of just like other factors in it that can sometimes be a bit unappealing.
I love that pause. That's like, I have to say a thing. I don't know if I can.
I'm a pretty like even kilter guy. I feel like for all the good things I say about something, I'm going to say some bad things about it too.
It's good to keep things balanced. And plus,
Right.
a lot of it for the show is to give people like an actual perspective from people who've been on the inside. You know, there can be a lot of I work in audio for music. It's great. Just like anyone that might come to your school and try and sell it, be like, it's super cool, man. You just put in the hours and it's super gratifying and it's always going to work out and be fantastic. You get to work with these big artists. And it's good to have someone be like, dude, yeah, but that means you ain't going to sleep half the time. And someone might be listening and go, okay, I like sleeping. I guess I could give that up. Or no, I need to have the sleep, whatever. Maybe I have a weaker constitution in my mind, or I have, whether you want to call it self-respect. Some people might get upset because if they're not sleeping, that means, does that mean I don't have self-respect? Maybe, but that's not the conversation we're necessarily having. But it's good to have like an actual, here's the good, here's the bad, do with it what you will.
Yep, those inner monologues are always happening, probably for all of us.
So now being with the multi-hat that you have as being a head engineer, are there certain parts that you really like now that you're doing them that you maybe wouldn't have before? Are there any like surprises that you have? Like, oh, I didn't think I'd be doing this kind of stuff, or I didn't know that this kind of thing was involved with being an engineer.
I think something that I didn't realize a lot was being a people person helps a lot in this industry. Actually, it's probably more important than being good or being a hard worker. I think I've seen a lot of people who make careers out of this with their social skills before their actual engineering abilities. And I think that's pretty cool. But I consider myself to be not a very social person. And so, I was like, even when I was in school, I was not super social, and I was constantly telling myself that I was going to be one of those people who like just lets their work ethic and their work speak for itself. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be like just the way I go about things. And retrospectively, I regret that because it's, again, just like not really worth it. It's an industry where you need to network, and I didn't know that, and I probably should have been practicing that sooner. Managing people is also way harder than, and hoping and expecting people to deliver on things that don't always happen. That is something that is much harder to deal with than I expected. But I still really, really love engineering sessions and helping people make music. So I think I'm doing an okay job of trying to balance the good and the bad. Just keep pushing every day. Not end up back in Cleveland, Ohio is really one of my main goals.
Not to keep going back to home base, whatever. Like, let's try and move a little bit forward, do a new experience, new something, whatever.
It would probably take another big global pandemic to, derail things that much. Hey, maybe it's what we all need. I don't know.
Yeah, just another cleanse, one more time. The first time didn't work enough. We just one more, and then we'll all be set. We'll all be done. Be like, oh, okay, now we know what to do. We're good. So, talking about the I guess the schmoozing side of engineering, of being more of a people person and such, and you speaking on yourself not being one so much. Do you have any tips, tricks, or your own experiences that seem to have helped or hindered for like anyone else listening that goes, hey, I also like to do audio, or I'm more technologically advanced or prefer to do just the tech science stuff, and I don't really know how to go about talking to people? How would I go about, do I just talk to people? How do I get better at that?
I think so. I mean, I promise you I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I know that I do need to start talking to people, and I think a big problem that I've been having is that I've been working so many hours that when I'm not working, the last thing I want to do is like something music related. And that's probably part of me just not being a social person. You have to like go out and seek out what you want. Like, I think right now I really want to like work in more pop music and like metal-ish music. It's kind of like the stuff I'm passionate about. Cool. And right now I work with a lot of like jazz and jam bands. And I think like a first step for me would probably be to, start going to those shows and making those connections with those bands. But also I think a big part is like, even if you're not exactly working in the like exact area that you want to be in. Like take everything super seriously. Like I take every session I do super seriously, even if it's music I'm not passionate about, even if it's like I'm recording someone's 9-year-old daughter. Like I'm going to take it very seriously and do everything I can to like make it an amazing session for them, because I just don't know where those things will take or end up remanifesting in the future. So that's super important. But yeah, when it comes to socializing, man, I think just being cool is really important. Don't be overimposing. Don't be like weird and super pushy. But just try to be cool. And that seems to be working really well for me. I think people really appreciate that I'm like really, really laid back. And some people just like that. You know, you just be yourself, and you're going to find people who vibe with your vibe and who don't. That's just part of it. But so yeah, I think the smartest thing to do would be to be yourself, and hopefully that will help steer you into the direction you want to go, and land you around the people that you want to be around.
Yeah, there's all kinds out there. I mean, every single one of us, even someone that we're like, oh, that guy seems like he gets along with everybody. They're still going to grind somebody's gears. Nobody's perfect to everyone. Just like animal instinct, whatever, will just piss someone off about you or anyone. Right. It's not 100%. It's going to be great. So do what you can. Be as least negative as you can, even if you're not like, oh, hey, how's it going? Happy. You just be like, hey, hi. Okay, yep, I'm doing fine. Thanks. How you doing? Like, it could be super simple, and people will still like you enough and keep you around. It's not going to be.
Yeah, 100. I 100% agree. And also, yeah, like if you are like a super.
Yeah, if that's you, if you're Mr. Bounce Around, you're gonna do it. It's fine.
Right. And I'm sure you'll find someone who appreciates that. It'll be harder for you in the music industry, though, I think. But again, it's just there's every type of person is trying to make music at some point. So I think everyone can find their niche if they look hard enough. So it just kind of like re-stresses that you should be yourself, because it's gonna suck if you
gotta try and be someone else the entire time.
Right.
And do your work and keep up the facade, and don't let them in, because they're gonna find out that you don't care about anything. They're like, well, then why are you there, and all kinds of stuff. So with finding out the niche that you're in, or seeing others and what they're in, is there a general consensus, at least as far as what you've seen? It's not like you have to talk about all audio. Is schooling necessary? Like how we went to Crass, do you feel like that was people have to be coming from some kind of audio trade school to be doing audio? Do you see a huge difference in the employees that did or didn't as far as their skill set and such? Anything like that you can talk about?
You definitely don't need it. That's for sure. I can guarantee you don't need it. I do think if you do end up doing stuff like that with your career and you didn't go to audio engineering school, it's usually like the result of your environment. So someone in your family plays music, or just someone wanted you to play music or get into engineering and bought you that first laptop with Logic or something. I have met a lot of people like that, or like for some reason like someone mentored them that was an audio engineer, and you just sort of happen into it that way. I think there are a lot of people who just go through life thinking, like me, that just there was no viable career in music unless you're like some like Prodigy or something. So there's a lot of people who maybe could have had those opportunities come by and just never saw them as reasonable. And then I think going to audio engineering school, a program that, and I'm not here to vouch for Crass or anything, because I've got my own qualms and stuff, as we all do. But like it helps a lot. It helps a lot for exactly what they advertise for. Like it helps you get your foot in the door, and that's just very important. And I will say that most of the time when I meet Crass grads in LA, they are better than other schools' engineers. That's just my opinion. So I don't think it's necessary. I've met so many amazing engineers, and even probably the most successful ones that I know are like people who did not go to audio engineering school and just kind of happened into this career. But if you were like me and you're kind of late to the game, and I want to be careful because I don't want to tell people that they should go to audio engineering school, because this is a really like tough career, and I sometimes wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So like, you just have to be really into it. You can make it happen. and it's not too late, stuff like that. I've met engineers who decided they wanted to be an engineer at like 40 and went to Crass and now are great engineers in LA.
That it's good to have that hesitation. I think anyone should, when it comes to schooling, mostly because of the tuition thing, of the expense of it and the time that it can take to do. Definitely take some time before even applying. Look at the website, talk to people, see if that's really what you want. If you want to do audio engineering, see if you can shadow someone. See if you can even just like go see the day of the life of whatever blah blah studio that's nearby, and see if you like to be in that area, and see if it's anything that you would expect or anything like that, and see if it matches what you really want.
That's a great point. I was having this talk with one of like my audio engineering mentors, and if you're like a go-getter like that, like I don't think I would have had the drive before I went to audio engineering school to like seek an opportunity like that out. But if you find someone, I think we paid like, maybe I shouldn't expose, it's $20,000 for audio engineering school. Like you go find an engineer and you said, hey, I have $25,000 and I really want to learn audio engineering school. He's probably gonna get you going better than the school will. But you will only be exposed to one thing, and there's other advantages to going to school for it. But I think there are a lot of people out there that would mentor people if they sought that out.
Yeah, it could be fun for some people. Might enjoy the process of passing down the older generational knowledge, whether it's talking about analog and digital, or even if it's maybe helping with that whole like, hey, you might not really know how to interact with artists, let me show you how to kind of like navigate the landmine, because some of them can be more touchy, some of them don't care, and here's how you can try and be good most of the time, and yada yada. Since you've been in engineering for basically 5 years, could you give some, like, a little scenario for someone who's like, I don't really know what audio engineering is like? Like, you're a sound engineer. What does that even mean? Like, let's pretend it's me. I'm like, hey, I want to track myself playing 6 different instruments for a jazz album I'm making, whatever. What's going to happen? I'm going to walk in. I'm going to have instruments. What are we going to do? What's going to happen?
So, in that case, let me just say, like, the studio that I work at, we facilitate, like, any use case for a studio that you could think of. We do so much live stuff. We do track records. We do podcasts. We do, like, anything you can think of, short-form content. It's a full AV setup. It's pretty intense. I feel very lucky when I get to do something like track a record for somebody. That is really fun. If it's just one artist, too, like, yeah, that sounds like a blast. We have a pretty nice backline, so you wouldn't need to like bring in any instruments except for like your brass or whatever. It's already set up for you to like sit down and play. If you need unique situations, like we can oblige that, but you should be able to just sit down and start ripping your song. Lay down some drums.
That's really cool. You got
bass,
like all kinds of instruments just I can rent out for the day or whatever.
No rent, man. It comes with the space. It's an interesting studio. The studio is it's a membership program. So you pay a certain fee, and you get triple that fee in credits towards studios. I'll give you just some arbitrary numbers. Say like your membership is $200 a month, you would get $600 in studio credits for that month, and so on and so forth for your membership fee.
Gotcha.
So everyone's using it for different things. We have people who are just using. We have a gym there, and like people are just using it for the gym and the sauna. Like every day,
They
it's
have
very
a studio membership for the gym and sauna.
I mean, we have events. It's
So
brand
there's a lot
new.
going on in this space.
It's a lot going on. I almost said too much. Like that, you could argue there's too much going on in the space. It's really cool. It's a great idea. We've been at it for like 4.5 months now. It's been a growing experience for everybody.
For those who are musicians and wanting to, enroll the services of an engineer, is it typically like, if I'm trying to find something like that, am I reaching out to a specific studio and they're going to give me, like, you, Mr. Hooper, as my engineer? Do I reach out to specific engineers and try and get in with them? How's that kind of scheduling work out?
There's different ways to go about it. I think if you're an artist, the smartest thing to do is try to find an engineer who works in your genre or has proof that they can develop the exact sound that you want. I'm very often getting clients that I've never spoke to. I have no clue what their plan is, and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. What are we doing? I've just kind of gotten used to rolling that way. But yeah, I think if you're super serious about your work, you should do your research and just like find an artist you're like, I want to sound like this person, who's recording all their music or who's producing their sound, and hopefully it's not like Jack Antonoff, and you can contact that person and work with them.
So for like on your end as an engineer, is there like a engineer LinkedIn type thing, or if I want to find out what your credits are and what songs you have done, is there some kind of database for that?
Yeah, there's all types of stuff like that. There's an AI, I think there's several, but the ones that I know of, I use Muso.ai, which is like, I don't even know how or why there's AI involved in it, but that's what they're called. Essentially, like they keep track of people's credits. It's kind of a grab bag though, because like you can go and say you did whatever on anyone's work, and yeah, I've seen some
back verify.
I mean, I have had instances where like they've asked me to send in proof, and I have, and it worked. But like sometimes they're just approving stuff where I'm like, I've also seen other people's credits who are like, I know you didn't do that on that record, so like it's just I don't really know how they're gauging it, but I can tell you that mine's accurate. I also have a website. I kind of just sort of got serious again about my website, and I'm in the process of redoing it, but it's still up there. I think that's also a smart thing to do is to everyone working in this should have their own website. It helps with a lot of stuff. It helps, yeah, like mine. I'm realizing now as I'm making my website that I have a sound, and I didn't realize that I had a sound. I thought I was like, oh, I'll just do anything for anyone, and then I'm like looking through my stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I have a sonic identity, and that's pretty cool to me.
Like, for those who may not really understand that
I'm sorry,
phrase,
Bryce. Like that phone call that I warned you about is coming in.
That's fine. I'll just stop.
Do you mind if I'll keep unmuted? You get a little insight of my job. Crisis averted.
It's a good thing you had that Tier 5 Pro Tools cert, right?
You know what's crazy is that I don't know if you ever attempted Tier 6, but Tier 6 Part 3, the final thing, I failed.
Is that the phone call one?
Yeah, the phone call one. And I failed it. And I know, and like I've walked so many people through, I actually think I deserve to fail it, is what I'm getting at.
Why do you say that?
I don't, because I worked really, really fucking hard, and I was really hurt when I didn't get that. And I did think the odds were stacked up against me in various ways that I won't go into, but I have gotten so good now just through practice of walking people through. Like I think I'm like I think that's one of my giant strong suits in engineering is like my troubleshooting ability and my ability to like walk like basically a child through how to do it if I need to. Oh, yeah, I'm getting text messages. Now it works. You know what the solve was? Unplug it and replug it back in.
Yeah, typical, yeah. 2025, it still works. Back in. Well, it's good that you're able to do that. I think some people might get kind of, I don't know if prideful is the word, where you feel like everyone needs to be on the same page and we all should know the jargon, we all should know how it works, but there's going to be some things like, well, maybe you work really well with Bluetooth receivers or how like these weird connections work. I know someone else just can't work with anything physical. Like their just brains is like, I don't get that. And it's not a big deal. It's fine to be able to just talk it out and everyone's going to learn. It's okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely doing a lot of helping people out these days, which I appreciate. You know, it's nice to have help.
Okay. Let's see.
What you got for me? I thought I was going to get quizzed. Any trivia?
That I would have? Yeah, is it better to, you know how people always talk about, I got to do these medical stupid ones all the time just because I did pre-med for a time. But you know, the whole like living high or sleeping at a high altitude or working out at a low altitude, blah, 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 for strength, endurance. Have you heard anything of that kind of thing, of what you should do or not?
That's not a trivia question.
Well, I haven't phrased it as one. I just want to make sure you understand the concept.
I get it. Yeah, of course I understand. Yeah.
Okay, so then here's the easy one.
Yeah.
If you wish to be a track star athlete,
Okay.
whether you want to be a sprinter or long distance, in this case, it's not going to matter.
Sure.
Is it better, A, to live and train at a high altitude, B, at a low altitude, A, sleep at one and train at the other, or none of it matters?
Okay, this seems like a trick question.
I did
'cause
lay it
everyone
out
tells
ABCD.
you, everyone tells you you're supposed to train at a high altitude. There's less oxygen, so when you go back down to a lower altitude, you get more oxygen and you do better.
Okay.
But
But you don't like that.
I feel like you're tricking me and trying to make me look stupid on camera.
Got receipts, he's a dum-dum. Most people,
man.
I've not known a single person that's known this who wasn't already like an exercise
Privy to-
physiologist. So.
Oh, no. Yeah. Of course, everyone knows that. So yeah, you're supposed to train at a high altitude.
Actually,
Fuck you.
asterisk. Weirdly enough, you want to sleep at a high altitude and train at low. The reason still stands on, living at a higher altitude. Yes, there's less oxygen, so your body's going to adapt. You're going to make a lot more red blood cells to try and make up for it. But similarly to how a person with one kidney can still get by, but the one kidney only grows to be about 85% of what your original capacity was, you still don't get to be the same athletic performance. Let's say if you went twice as high in elevation, you're not going to get twice as many blood cells to make up for it. You're still going to be
Right.
lacking a little bit, so you can't produce as much power without as much oxygen in you. So you go up high, get all those pretty little red blood cells you need, but then you go down to the lower elevation with all that oxygen so that you can just really just go to town on your exercise and get the maximum performance out of it. So
Right.
that's your dumb trivia.
But what if we really? So, I mean,
Now,
are you saying-
whether you should do your performance at a high altitude or low altitude for like Olympic times, that's different depending on what you're doing. But like physically, like everyday training day, it's funny shit here in Arizona. So Flagstaff is a mile high city, and then Phoenix is somewhere around 2,000. The ASU track team, I believe it is, maybe the U of A does this as well. They sleep in Flagstaff and they drive 2 hours down to Phoenix to do their training, to take the double benefit out of it.
Interesting. Okay, so you're telling me if I went and trained, like if we accentuated it quite a bit, I'm talking like we made it like a training platform, like 10 miles in the sky. I don't even know how high Earth goes. Probably even higher than, no, not higher than 10 miles. That's crazy.
Earth can, people can't, but it doesn't matter. You'd run out of
Either way.
air long before then.
Right, we're talking about we're hitting that threshold, that oxygen threshold. Like those people aren't going to come down superhumans if they're just training and living up there.
Not all the way, because there's a lot when it comes to like power. There's a lot of different processes involved to where you don't just have them in your body. It's not so much of having oxygen and I can just use that to burn up my energy in order to get my power. There are different metabolites, different chemicals that you need to like build in your body through like weight training, for example. If you're doing like short burst, no breathing, anabolic type stuff that you need to like build in your muscles for them to be able to use. And
Okay, well, I'll scrap the plans then on the 10-mile
Yeah.
high training facility.
And funny enough, it's not even, there's like a diminishing returns and even negative returns if you go up too high. I believe do they live in like Chile or something like that? There's like I think they live at like 11,000 feet. There's like this really high up village And the apoxia they have, like the lack of oxygen, actually produces a lot of diseases for them. They don't live a terribly long time because of that. So it's not like everyone should go rushing to the highest place they can if they're trying to be the next greatest athlete. No, don't do that.
Good to know.
So there's your dumb little thing of the day to learn.
Yeah, that was the best trivia question I've ever gotten. Thanks, Bryce.
You're welcome. Back to the world of audio a little bit. So in your whole like experience, your whole however many years you are old now and such, for anyone who's maybe in high school and they want to have a job similar or even exactly like you, were there things in your educational career, whether it was classes you took in high school, deciding to do crass, living in Phoenix for a time, it can be big, small, or what may seem dumb. Were there things that stood out as, oh, these were definite good things that helped me, and these were parts that I think hindered me or I wish I didn't do?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a super big on like we all are products of our environment. So I think big and small, like most of the things, there are so few things that we experience that are just arbitrary. I think so many of almost everything that we experience like plays into who we become. The big ones in terms of like my upbringing and education, I would say like being in orchestra made me realize that I at least had some natural ability compared to other people when it came to music. So stuff like that keeps you confident. Like it makes you think it won't be as much of an uphill battle if I want to make a career out of this, as you know, obviously compared to somebody who just cannot figure that stuff out. Yeah, man, everything, even the bad things that happened, I think like going to ASU, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like if you looked at it for its surface value, like I didn't do very well educationally there. I didn't really enjoy myself that much. Like I had a big social life there, but I just felt like I wasn't really being me at times, and it was a big existential growing period for me. I think like I had to have done bad educationally there for me to like then go do well in audio engineering school. So it's hard for me to say that anything was bad, even though they were on the surface. Like I can think of terrible things that I've gone through that have brought me to where I am today, and I'm super appreciative for them, even though they're terrible.
The only reason I ask is another ways I phrase it for some people is like, oh, if you had one redo, what would you do? And obviously you can't do the redo. It's not for you. It's if anyone's at the same point. Like let's say, yeah, I wouldn't have done ASU. If I was going to figure out my life in college, maybe I would have done it back in home in Cleveland, if I remember you saying.
Yeah,
but
it's tough for me to say that. Just
there's going to be all kinds of things that screw you up, and you're going to I think people just need to realize that shitty stuff's going to happen of variable degree. Some of it's going to be minor, and you might still think it sucks. It's fine. That's what we do. It's what people do. Everything sucks. Things are going to be actually bad, and it doesn't really matter who you are. Unfortunately, you can't avoid it. It's going to happen, right. And you can still get to good points in your life. It's not just be like, oh, I crashed and burned and never going to rise again. More likely than not, I think you can and will get up.
That does remind me, like, I think, again, I'm going to end up conceding, like, the other side of it, but I think, like, I wish I would have tried harder to, like, do better in high school, because I was so very capable of it. I just wish I didn't go into, like, so much debt going to ASU. I don't regret going to ASU. It made me grow so much as a person, even though I don't use my degree. And, but I think if I would have like been able to get like a full ride, that would probably make me feel better about it, and I wouldn't have to be dealing with so much, like as much financial issues. And that's not to say it wouldn't be
so much of a scar on your arm. You'd just be like, oh, there's a little freckle. There's ASU. Oh, okay.
Right, exactly. But again, I also don't. Who's to say that I would be working as hard as I do if I didn't go through that stuff. So that's just the way I guess I think
The yin
about
yang
things.
of everything.
I'll never be able to like just give you that black and white answer.
No, I like being able to have these kinds of conversations with people where there's not a lot of things are black and white, where it's like, yeah, I definitely would have, but there's this little part of me that thinks that, and it's good that you're well.
And maybe that's a new thing for me, and something I should be proud of, because I think if I like hated myself as a person, I would have more regrets and like look back on those things with more disdain. But I think it's probably a good thing that I feel that way, because you could say that I've made these mistakes and I'm grateful for them. So that must, in my head, make me think that I feel pretty good about myself.
Oh, good. You should like you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Okay. We're near kind of the end of things, and I always like to turn over at least a few minutes to the guest on if there's any, like, I'm not asking questions. This is your moment to soapbox anything in a way, whether it's your chance to inspire, be funny, tell a dumb little story you wish you did earlier from other questions I just didn't get to. Your time. What do you want to talk about, if anything?
Can I ask you some questions?
Hell yeah, please. No one's asked me a question. Yes.
What's going on, man? Like, what's next for you? I want to know what's going on. I was like, I think maybe one of your first, I want to say 1 or 2 subscribers on Twitch. I'm a big Boogie Woogie Bryce Twitch streamer fan, and I just want to know what's next for one of my top streamers.
Some people are going to be listening like, the fuck, he streams? So let me update on that. I literally just kind of decided it today. I've been going back and forth on it for a long time because, as most of you will know, since you've never heard of me before as a streamer, I'm nowhere big. Like, I have 180 followers, and like 5 of them come back more often than not. Like, literally I have like 6. Corey's one of them. And so it's been one of those things that's just been taxing for a while on playing the games. That's fun. Doing the little editings of the highlights and trying to make videos, and then trying to do them on TikTok or trying to put them on YouTube Shorts and trying to get people to come in. And some people do come in, but then they don't stay because they want whatever, who knows what. That's a million things for opinions. And it would just keep kind of like disappointing me. I'm just like, I never really thought I'd get to be a big streamer, but I always liked a comfortable medium low, or like enough to where I could pop on, see like 20 something people. There's enough conversation going on. It'd be great. And we're nowhere near that. 3 years later, something like 3 years. And so I'm finally going to just leave it alone. I'm going to still do it. I'm going to stream from time to time. Don't shake your head. I still want to have it as like this thing where I can bring friends together and play with them. Like I did Jackbox last week with a bunch of friends. And I think doing like a consistent, hey, once a month, reach out to all my friends. Who wants to do Jackbox? Come on in. And doing that sort of thing. And just enjoying it for what it is for me. And maybe the podcast gets big and people want to watch me do Twitch, and we can reopen that conversation. But I think from my own mental sake, I can only focus on that or the podcast, and
I get it.
This one's new.
No, I get it, man. It seems like an extremely difficult thing to make a career out of, which is ironic because we were just talking about that in my case. But yeah, for whatever reason, it seems like platforms like Twitch and YouTube only seem to reward people who are like treating it like a full-time job. But it's like you got to treat it for like a full-time job for like 3 years, and then we'll start rewarding you. And it's like, how do they expect?
How do I do that?
And it's just, it seems really, really tough.
Yeah, I don't. And for me, the couple of problems for me is there's kind of 2 things I've noticed. I'm going to use the word, some people might get upset by it, but you kind of have to do a little bit of pandering to viewers, as far as you kind of don't get to play what you want necessarily. Mm-hmm. Maybe you really enjoy Call of Duty or one specific game, like let's say Monster Hunter for me. I've played that game a lot, enjoy that. More often than not, people would prefer that you play the one game all the damn time, and you have something interesting about you, either that you're super fantastic good, you do really weird stuff, challenges all the time, maybe you're just loud. I'm freaking thinking of one specific gigantic streamer, and all I can think of is he just screams and yells, and probably 4 or 5 different names pop in your head. Well, you understand how that works. It's obviously successful. So for me, who wants to be relatively the same person, play a couple of different games, and I don't have the eyeballs to play for beyond even. I gotta play for 4 hours.
same.
Like once it gets to be like 2 or 3,
Right.
I can't sit in this chair. My eyes are like, and I just can't do it. And so I bow down to anyone who could just sit there and do it. But I just don't have the streamer constitution.
Fair enough.
Well, did we know that'd be a phrase anyway? You got streamer's constitution? Yeah. I got the long haul in me.
I don't know if I could do it either. I mean, I guess I'm staring at screens all day, but yeah, you also have to be super social for that too.
Yeah, you got to be able to just be on the ball all the time. When I remember when I was first doing it, it was tough to have no viewers and to still like do commentary. And to me, I'm not one to just like talk about what I'm doing. I can do conversations with people and have it be nothing related to what's gaming. But to just be like, okay, so now I'm going to go up this hill. All right, cool. We're going to pick up that berry. Oh, look at that little monster over the hill. Yeah, people probably going to kill about 6 of those right now. Get a new armor set. Yeah, need a new armor set. I'm trying to get the great. It's like just, it's like a sports reporter. I can't just bullshit constantly, despite what some people might think.
So you started a podcast.
So I started a podcast. It was this last November. I was still doing my schooling. I had gone back to school here at the U of A, which is funny because I'm more Fork Nation in my mentality than Bear Down.
Gross, man.
I was gonna go be an astronomy professor. I got back into the schooling end of 23. And after doing enough classes and talking to enough professors and finding out what it was going to actually be like to get there, I just wasn't happy with basically having to put in a decade's worth of schooling to get my PhD. And even when I would do that, it's not like the gates opened up and, oh, you get to be a professor now. You kind of do, but from what I've understand, assistant professors or the whatever low ranking you want to call it, there's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of not teaching attributes involved, and I'm like, dude, I just want to show up and teach. That's the point. And especially because I wanted to do like the really dumb astronomy stuff of the big yellow one's the sun. Like that's my stuff. I don't need the super deep theoretical. So you're telling me I gotta go for 10 years worth of like quantum mechanics baloney just to talk about how the sun is yellow, even though it's white, even though it's green. I might go into that conversation just because you're not an astronomer and I can't piss you off right away with that. I don't think.
Oh, man. That shit's yellow or something.
And so I go in talking to this one professor, a buddy of mine, who's been basically a mentor, who I'm hoping to have on this second season. And I go, I think I've finally given up. Like, I don't think this is going to be what I want. I've talked to him like dozens of times, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to put my head down. We're going to fight through it. It's going to be all good. I'm going to put my head down, fight through it. It should be all good. I'm just going to... and it just finally like locks into. I'm like, this isn't going to be for me either. God damn it. And so I have this whole like, that whole weekend, just existential, what the fuck, Bryce? Like, if anyone who's watched the first episode, they hear me talking about how this is like the 4th time I've rebranded myself. I go from pre-med to audio school to astronomy school. Now what the fuck am I doing? And so I end up talking to my academic advisor just randomly. I had set up a meeting beforehand, serendipitously. And I'm sitting there across from the guy and I go, what do you do all day exactly? Oh, I talk to students, help them figure out their classes and stuff. I do a little bit of stuff on the back end. But you'd say like 70% or something, most of your time's like talking to people, right? Yeah. Well, that sounds pretty good. You're the advisor for astronomy, right? Yeah. So you're still involved in like science in some capacity, like you're helping other people do science? Yeah. I go, do you have a lot of homework when you go home? Do you just kind of like show up, clock out, and you're done? Yeah, I don't have anything to take home, whatever. I do the job and I leave. I go, this sounds like a job I could really enjoy. And so I rebranded me and again in a way of, I went to my College of Science Career Center, got my resume all redone up and new. I sent out all kinds of applications. I've got, at the time of this podcast, like 30 of them, or 15 of them have already come back as automatic no's. Most infuriating thing ever. The stupid robot sends an email saying, yeah, no thanks, we don't think we like you. I'm like, okay, you don't even know me. But when I was doing those applications, it's like, why even wait? It was around Christmas, this last Christmas, 24, that I was like, why not make a podcast sort of thing? Because the one thing that kept making me change my mind is that I never really knew what the career I was vying for was like. When I was in pre-med, I didn't know that work-life balance situation. Or even when you're there, you know, everyone's been in a hospital. There's that air to it, and it didn't dawn on me working in that all the time would have its own taxing effect. So then I went to audio being like, oh, I want to be in music and stuff. And then finding out all the totem pole stuff and stuff I talked about earlier in this episode. And then I get to astronomy, same thing. I learned that, this is not going to be what I want. So I go, what if I made a podcast that I bring on people who've been in 1,400 different pathways? My 14, you being in audio, some other people have been in pre-med, blah, blah, blah. I got a theater artist. We're going to have a photographer. We're going to have a librarian on, such like that. And we just have them tell their stories so that other people, when they come onto the show, they'd be like, I don't know what it's like to be an audio engineer. I don't know what it's like to be a professor. Let's find out what that's like. And they can hear the good, bad, and in between of it and hopefully get a better idea on whether that's what they want to do so that they don't have to have the 1,400 sidetracks like I did. They could just be like, I'll just think about this for a month and then have my shit together. At least have a better chance for that.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that, like, when you go through the beginnings of each transitional period, like I know that when I was going through stuff like that, I usually kind of like wallow in it and I get pretty down about it. But like, you strike me as such like a sunshiny guy. Like, I'm curious how you handle it and like what that looks like when you're going through that type of stuff. I just, for some reason, still picture you just like smiling all the time. You're like, isn't life great? These obstacles are great. Like, I don't know.
Love it. I love it. The darkest nights give you the brightest stars, you know?
Exactly.
Well, funny enough, each transition has had its own different flavor, and I kind of remember them more or less vividly. So, like when I was in pre-med, it was literally my sophomore year of college that I was like, I don't want this physiology degree. This is not going to be what I want. And at the time, I didn't feel too much because it was one of those things to where I didn't have a backup plan. So I just kept with that degree. I was in the mindset of, okay, well, if you don't want to do physiology, you still need to be in college. You need to get a degree. So unless you find a backup to switch to, you're just going to roll with this. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to roll with it. And so I didn't really have any kind of like existential time there. When you talk to enough, I shadowed like 6 or 7 doctors of different types, like a cardiovascular person, a physical therapist. It just kind of like knocked me down little by little, very gradually of like, oh, I'm super excited for medicine. And be like, that wasn't super cool. I don't really love it. I hope this guy inspires me. You know, it's like, it just like kind of gets to a point where like, okay, you are just going to hopefully bring me out of it. And no one did. You know, nothing was super catching on to me. I was going to do kids cancer for a time. Then I was going to do heart work. Then I was going to do physical therapy. And once I got done physical therapy, I was like, well, that's as broad and general as you can get. Like, I went to very specific, very hard, chronic terminal stuff to someone pulled their leg. I'm not saying pulling your leg's is like, oh, you get over it. I'm just saying, grand scheme of all things you can be ailed with, twisting your ankle's better than cancer. Agreed. So
that's what they say.
That's what they say. The experts are, you know, they're still talking about it. But so when I lost pre-med as a thing, didn't really bother me too much. When it came to audio, that one was more of like a, I guess I'll say more disappointing. Like for pre-med, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I lost that. Okay. And I don't know if it was just because I was younger or if I was just optimistic, like, well, you know, I'll figure something out. It was just kind of like, oh, I just won't go to medical school. Okay. And just, that was it. That was the end of my thinking. When it came to audio, since I chose medicine over music because I didn't want to do music theory, still to this day, irritates the piss out of me. Whatever. Like, so could I have gone to school, gotten over it? You know, like medical terminology also sucks. So could I have just done music theory and just get over it? Probably, but whatever. So I come to Crass being like, all right, I can finally be in music, learn something more practical than playing my saxophone in a bar and hoping I get big. You know, that was always how I phrased it. And music production has its ropes and things and hoops you gotta jump through. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I'm getting a sense that there's not a lot of. You don't have to say anything I'm going to say. You can be no nodding or anything if you don't want to, so that anyone else is like, oh, Corey doesn't like audio. It's not like that. But there is a lack of respect, in my opinion, in music. There is, I call it the totem pole, because there's the big dogs on top who are shitting down on the little guy at the bottom. You're not a team of people working on a project. It is a couple of guys who are doing the thing, and the rest of you fuckers over there just fucking don't get in my way. And I don't like power dynamics at all in that sort of creative, what's supposed to be a creative scenario. I'm like, music's supposed to be this great, wonderful thing, and you're turning it into this negative, vile space. So music production, out. Post-production, I didn't have any opinion on, so I just got to throw that away. Theater, I liked. I had done stagecraft in high school, so and I did pit orchestra, so I always enjoyed being around theaters, but then never got enough exposure to it. Like, live music is its own bag to theater. Like, being on a stage doing theater is different than being on a stage playing with a band and that sort of stuff. There's a different mentality. Live sound, I knew that wasn't going to be me. I'm not the high strung all night party on. Like, I'm solar powered. Like, when the sun comes down, I'm just like, oh, just relax, have a nice time, whatever. So threw live sound out. Theater exposure wasn't great. Threw that out, and I was just like starting to get there. I'm like, okay, there's like 5 big emphases here at the school, and I've lost like 4 of them now. Come on, broadcast. There's video game audio and stuff too, and all these little spots, but again, there wasn't enough exposure to it to really get like into it. So I was like, okay, that doesn't count. So I get to broadcast, and I remember NASCAR came into town, into Phoenix, like way outskirt on the west side, whatever. And they're like, oh, you guys can go be in the trailer tent things, whatever, at the traveling audio company. I'm like, oh, okay. So we go over there and watch it, and it's this whole big freaking, like, when you watch NASCAR, that's like all those RVs in the middle of the track are just regular people. There's like that many RVs just for the audio and the visual rigs, like just outside the stadium. And so you're just walking around this trailer park and seeing all the people. And they had this wonderful air of respect. Like, even the dumb, quote-unquote dumb little dude who's just plugging in the cables from trailer to trailer, you could tell he was comfortable in his own space, that his manager treated them well, that she would talk well about him, that or whatever, that they all seemed good and comfortable with each other. Like, hey, you've got your role, I've got mine, let's do it, and we'll kick ass and rock it. And I loved that. I was like, oh, great. I had thought, which some people might too, that let's say it's Phoenix, it's the Suns are nearby. If you want to be an audio engineer for the Phoenix Suns, you might expect to be working at that stadium as your office, let's say, or where you go into work 9 times out of 10. It's apparently more likely to be traveling with the Suns, rather, and I didn't want to have that bouncing around life, which dumb as shit. In the last 5 years since Crass, let's see, so 2019 I lived in Tucson. 2020, I lived in Phoenix. 21, I went to Southwest Utah because I was in the middle of COVID. That's where my parents lived. 2022, went to Denver. 23, Salt Lake City. 24, 25 now, back to Tucson. So I did the stupid bouncing around bullshit I was trying to avoid anyway. But that's just a side thing that makes me laugh. And so I finally threw away all of audio. Long story short, with all that crap I'm saying. And it was disappointing and like irritating a bit of being like, damn it, I've tried to make something good out of music for myself, and the world of audio just doesn't seem to be for me. Like, I just can't see myself getting into it. So I'm pissing off in Denver. I enjoyed my time there. It's not like that in a sense, but comparatively I am. And I think about my time at the planetarium and going to do my astronomy schooling. I finally decide I'm not going to do it. And that one is the no sunshine and rainbows. I was like, that whole, like, there's like 3 or 4 days, which doesn't sound like a lot, but of just like deep, oh my God, how did I get here? Why did I do this? How am I gonna? What if I? Should I had? And just running the rigmarole in my head of like, well, I felt like stranded, like in the middle of this little island I made for myself, of just like, I'm all alone out here. I don't have a career in my head. I'm not working on any school now. I don't have a path. And there was a couple times in my life where I didn't really have a path, but they were okay. Like when I lived in Denver, it's because I was living with the girlfriend I had at the time, and we were just, living life, and it was great there. Asterisk. And when I lived in Salt Lake City, it was me just recovering from what I did in Denver and such. So I didn't really worry about not having a career right away. I was just like, okay, we're taking care of what we need to. And so when this happened, I was like, okay, buddy, you got fucking nothing now. This is you. This is your thing, and you've got nothing. What the fuck are you going to do? And so I'm like, okay, let's try to make something out of it, I guess. It's just, I don't know, if sleep or enough time, or because it's not necessarily like you can talk, like my mom's a great supporter. It's not like the plus and minus to that, and it's not there's a minus at all. I didn't get turned around by calling my mom and she'd be like, you're going to do it. You can do it. I believe you. You're going to figure it out. That didn't turn me around because I'm sitting there like staring at all these things I've done and being like, okay, but when have I, like how am I supposed to do it if I haven't yet? And I really don't know now what got me to turn around. Like even now, these last 3 months of job searching, I've been depresso espresso most days. Like I'm good in the morning and stuff. Like I go to the gym, I go to the library, write my book. I got like some things to do. Then once lunchtime comes around, I run out of stuff to do. What do I do? I apply to jobs all the time. Nothing pans out, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm just this blob. I'm just this guy. I'm here. And I don't have the right answer on how do you get through it because I'm still trying to figure out that part right now.
Sweet. No, that's very good insight. That's exactly what I was wondering.
So, yeah, sometimes it's easy for getting through those times. Do I still smile? Yes, obviously, we're here. Does the sun shine? Does the sun have a dark side? No. Does this one? Yeah.
No, I'm with you, man. I've had straight up episodes where like just so like confused on who I am, if I should change, stuff like that, like things centering around your ego and whatnot, and it's gotten out of all of them, and I'm making strides, and I think you and I are both cool people. Like I think we're gonna be fine. So that's why, I think we can just, I'm saying I think. I don't fucking know, man.
This is the video receipt, so 20 years from now when we're bums, I'll be like, hey, remember when you said?
That's where it all turned around for us. It all started going downhill.
You totally just jinxed us. We're screwed now.
We'll find out.
I think, I'd like to think we have better odds than, I think most people generally are working with, just pulling a number out of my ass, like an 80-20. Maybe it's better than that, of like 80%. You're going to figure it out. Will it be your top choice every single time? No. Can you always strive for that? Sure. Why not? Is there always going to be that little chance of you not working out? Yeah, but I think that it gets to a point where there's circumstance that will put you there. I think, in my opinion, that's a lot of times of how it'll start. It'll be whatever family member thing happens, love thing happens, maybe just not doing great in school dawns on you, or whatever, just something you'll wake up and then bam, oh hey, oh damn. And the 20% or whatever small number that would make you be not the person you want to be kind of comes down to whether you're gonna try and figure it out. Whether some people want to call it work ethic, whether I love that. I don't love it. There is like your own self at the end of the day. You will have to be the one to get yourself to go in a direction. Do we all need a support system? Yes. Is there going to be times when you need someone to be like reaching out a hand, saying that one good word to you, or just even some random wacko on the road being like, oh, hey, I like your shirt. And that somehow turns you around. Yes, we all need that. So I don't want some people to be like, it's just me to pull myself up by my bootstraps to get it done? Kind of, but you don't have to dress yourself all the way. Put on your bootstraps, but I'll get your pants, your mom will get your shirt, someone else will buy you a nice hat, whatever. We'll get you a good outfit in the end. You don't have to do everything.
Yep.
And
good analogy.
Whatever my point was for that, I'm done. Well, thanks a lot for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course, dude. Thank you for asking me. I don't really know if you got out of this what you're supposed to get out of it, but
I don't have any expectations. It's just for good conversation, and it was that.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, man. We can do it again sometime. You ever in LA, man? I got you. I'll show you the ways.
Good, because I know there's 1,000 out there, and I'm like, I'll get lost.
That's true.
We'll see you later.
See ya.